Hello, happy people, and welcome to your Moment of Zed, the YouTube channel dedicated to the most beautiful car in the world. It's back, the BMW Z3, or as the folks in Dundee call it, the Z3. I'm Mark, and today we're going to do a brief analysis of how big of a fail my last project was, in the hopes that you can avoid some of the problems that I ran into. Now, kind of the root of this, spoiler alert, I was in a hurry. I kind of got tunnel vision, and this led to a whole chain of failures that turned a 4-hour project, which should have been, I think, about a 4-hour project, into a 4-day project, more or less. So, in the hopes that you can avoid making my mistakes, I present these fails. But first, we have two Zeds of the Week.
First up, we have Tony from Fremantle, Western Australia, who for a few months was the proud owner of two Topaz Blue 5-speed Roadsters, won a 2000 2-liter with 175,000 kilometers that he bought in 2021. Now, he did a lot of work on that, but was always looking for a 3-liter, and last year he found and bought a 2001 model with only 22,000 kilometers in perfect shape. Since then, he has sold the 2-liter and continues to enjoy the 3-liter, which he plans to leave mostly stock. Next up, we have Bart from Belgium with his 2002 1.9-liter 5-speed Roadster with 120,000 kilometers that he bought in 2016. Now, he's done extensive gasket work in the engine, he's put on new sills and done rust treatment, and he has changed out all the fluids. Bart says he always tries to use OEM parts. Very nice.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for sharing your beautiful cars. If you'd like to see your car on Zed of the Week, please follow the easy instructions in the description below. Now on to that fail.
So my original plan was to work, say, 4 to 6 hours Saturday before it got really hot, finish everything up, edit the video for Sunday, and get the video out that Sunday, which is now 2 weeks ago. Well, the springs gave me such a problem that I basically worked all day Saturday trying to compress springs, really put behind the schedule that was in my head. Tip number 1, don't have a schedule in your head. Projects happen in the time they are able to happen in. So while working on the springs, I got so laser focused or tunnel visioned in getting the springs done, I couldn't realize, even though my better half was telling me so, that I wasn't going to be able to do it. So I kept trying and trying and trying to no avail. Sometimes it's okay to give up. That's my next tip. So Saturday ends, and where I'm at is the bolts are stuck on the driver's side. Now, this is the passenger side, but this is the bolts that were stuck, and I still hadn't done anything with the springs. It was too early in the morning to use the impact wrench and make all that noise to keep trying at the springs because I was going to give it one more shot. So I thought to myself, I'll work on the stuck bolt, which again is that same bolt I just showed, but on the other side. So I got smart and I turned the wheel so I had better access to that 18 millimeter bolt. Again, I was in a hurry because I needed to get the springs done still. And instead of putting an impact wrench on it, I saw I had enough room to put a pipe on my ratchet handle, and I cranked the hell out of it and broke the head off the bolt. And I knew at that point my project had spun out of control. And there's the bolt I broke. Well, not the one I broke, but the exact same kind. And I knew when I broke it that it had red thread locker on it. And instead of thinking to myself, heat, then impact wrench, again, I just torqued on it and broke it off. But again, at that point, I was tunnel visioned on getting done with the broken bolt and getting back to the spring for one last attempt. And again, it didn't help. So now in order to get to my broken bolt, I had to remove the entire hub assembly, and I'll talk about how much fun that was in a minute. But there's the broken bolt ready to go. Now I'm going to need a bolt extractor, so I had to run out and buy one of those to get that out. And that still required a ton of heat. And again, the bolt extractor and some help from my buddy Pat to get this out. It was probably an hour to an hour and a half of extra work. So in order to remove the hub assembly, you have to remove the caliper, which actually went pretty well. Then you have to lift the hub assembly off the lower ball joint on the control arm. Now you notice most ball joints have a rubber boot on them that holds in the grease, but not mine because I chose to use the tuning fork style of ball joint remover, which is an okay tool, especially if you're not planning on reusing the ball joint. But when it's like mine and it was stuck, and I mean stuck hard, really hard, it never did come off, and I destroyed the rubber boot of the ball joint I was going to reuse. And I still reused it, but this is a tool to use. Both of these tools I rented at AutoZone, and it doesn't really cost you anything to rent them, and that got it off, not easily, but it got it off without destroying the boot. Well, the boot was already destroyed, but anyways, hot tip number, whatever we're on, use the right tool for the job and use the sturdiest tool you can get, especially if it's for free. So another thing that cost me time was my general lack of organization. Once I got focused on the springs and then got refocused on the broken bolt, everything I used, I left where I used it in my garage. And as you can see, stuff was strewn everywhere, and that did not help me as I ran from one side of the car to the other, to a toolbox, to a different toolbox, to a tool bag, looking to figure out where the heck this socket was, or that ratchet was, or this other thing. Really, really bad news. Stay organized, and I would say have yourself a rolling tray or something, some system where everything's in one place and it kind of follows you around. Something I'm definitely going to work on for the future. Next thing to discuss, the fact that not many of us have the luxury of having full lifts when we work on our cars. Maybe you're lucky and you've got some quick jacks. Hey, quick jack manufacturer, looking for that sponsorship. Think about it. Anyways, most of us have jack stands or ramps to work on, and this puts us in positions that maybe aren't as ergonomically suitable as they should be, especially if you're of a somewhat advanced age like I am. In this project, I spent an awful lot of time on my knees without any kind of knee pad or any kind of protection on cement, which is not a good thing for 55-year-old knees. Spent a lot of time wedged in places that weren't comfortable. And I spent a lot of time not wearing gloves, which is something I always do, and it's really kind of stupid to keep crap off your hands and to keep your hands protected. On top of that, I made my life even harder by not taking advantages of the tools I did have, like this Black & Decker Workmate table, which sat in the corner of my garage for a lot of this project. It's where I should have worked on the springs to begin with, but instead I spent the better part of my first Saturday on this project on my hands and knees trying to deal with these spring compressors, and I don't know why. The table was right in the corner of the garage, and again, I had such tunnel vision that I looked right past it. So I guess my final tip is, when things seem more difficult than they should be, stop, take a break, take a look around, see what could make your life easier and more comfortable. It may be right at your fingertips, and you don't even realize it. One area where I do want to give myself some props is on jack safety. I had the car up on jack stands. I had the wheels under the car as a backup, and I also had the jack up under the front cross member as a backup, and I had the wheels chalked. So I think I did that right, and that might be the most important thing you can do right.
So folks, there you have it. Again, presented in the hopes that you will do better than me. You might learn from my mistakes, and hopefully I will learn from my mistakes, and you'll see me do better on future videos, because I have a bunch of work coming up that I'm really looking forward to doing better on. Hey, if you found this content valuable, as always, please crush that like button. And until next time, remember, friends don't let friends drive boring.